Did you know that in New York City, nearly 100,000 people were sleeping in shelters each night in January 2026? And more than 32,000 of them were children. Now hold that next to the version of America the world is about to see. The World Cup is coming, and for a few weeks, the cameras will show packed stadiums, clean skylines, beaches, downtown lights, and cities polished just enough for company. And yeah, America still knows how to pose. But outside those camera angles, another America is showing up in rent notices, insurance bills, water cuts, hospital closures, and families wondering why normal life feels so expensive. California has Silicon Valley, Hollywood, and some of the richest companies on Earth, while almost 1/4 of America's homeless population lives there. Arizona keeps building desert suburbs while Colorado river cuts get worse. Florida's retirement dream now comes with insurance bills that can scare people before the hurricane does. So how can America look this rich on camera while so many states are struggling just to keep life affordable? Today, we're counting down the top 10 US. States facing crisis in very different ways. Hit like, subscribe, and tell me which state should be number 1. Number 10, Alaska. Alaska seems like the last place in America where land would be the issue. It has mountains, rivers, forests, coastlines, and villages so remote that buying groceries can feel less like shopping and more like planning a small delivery mission. But in Alaska Native communities like Newtok, Shishmaref, Kivalina, and Shaktoolik, the problem isn't space. The problem is whether the land under people's homes will still be safe enough to live on. The Government Accountability Office reported that more than 70 of over 200 Alaska Native villages face serious threats from erosion, flooding, or thawing permafrost. More than 1/3 of those communities face more than one threat at the same time. So the issue isn't just one shoreline slowly washing away. In some places, the land is eroding, flooding is getting worse, and the frozen ground under buildings is thawing. GEO had already identified 31 Alaska villages facing immediate threats from flooding and erosion. At least 12 of those 31 villages had decided to move in whole or in part, or were looking at moving. This isn't some distant 50-year warning that only matters in a climate report. Some communities are already trying to figure out where their town can go next. Newtok has about 300 residents, and moving to Murtarvik has taken decades and roughly $160 million in today's dollars. Even after moving, some residents have still dealt with bad housing, mold, power problems, and limited water service. So moving the village didn't end the problem. It moved the problem to a new place, with new bills, new repairs, and new failures to fix. Kivalina is another example. The cost to move that small village has been estimated between $100 million and $400 million. For one village of a few hundred people, that price tag looks like a major city project. Then come the normal Alaska costs that make everything harder. Food has to be flown or shipped into many communities. Fuel costs more. Medical care can mean leaving the village. And when someone has a serious emergency, help may depend on weather, aircraft, distance, and money all at once. Alaska is at number 10 because some communities are already asking a question most Americans never imagined asking: can our town physically stay where it is? Number 9, Hawaii. Hawaii is one of America's most successful vacation. Honolulu beaches, Waikiki hotels, Maui resorts, honeymoon photos, sunset cruises, and tourists paying resort fees so a hotel can charge them extra for things that used to be called being at a hotel. For visitors, Hawaii is paradise by the week. For local families, that same paradise comes with a very different bill. In 2025, the median single-family home price in Hawaii was around $950,000. A family would need to earn more than 180% of Hawaii's middle income just to afford that median-priced house. In plain English, about 80% of Hawaii households are priced out of a normal single-family home. So priced out doesn't just mean homes are expensive. It means most local families can look at the market and already know the answer is no. A hotel worker in Honolulu can check in tourists all day, serve the vacation economy, clean rooms, carry bags, and still have almost no path to buying a normal home near the place they grew up. AP has reported that only about 20% of Hawaii households could afford the median single-family home, down from 44% in 2021. That means in just a few years, the share of households able to buy a typical house was cut by more than half. Renters aren't exactly having a relaxing island experience either. AP reported that 56% of renters in Hawaii spend too much of their income on rent, so for many families, buying is out of reach, while renting already takes too much money every month. The price is high for several very practical reasons. Hawaii has limited land, construction is expensive, and materials have to be shipped in. Groceries cost more because so much food comes from outside the islands. Electricity costs more, and gas costs more too. Tourism brings money, but it also means too many neighborhoods are priced for vacation budgets, second home buyers, and mainland paychecks. Uhiro has said that in 23 of the past 25 years, more residents left Hawaii for the mainland than moved in from the mainland. Cost of living is one of the biggest reasons. A 2025 survey of more than 3,200 residents found that 29% believed they'd have to move to a cheaper state in the future, while 46% weren't sure. So when a young adult from Honolulu, Maui, or the Big Island leaves for Las Vegas, Oregon, Washington, or California, that's not just personal preference. It means leaving Hawaii is no longer rare, and for a lot of families, it's become the backup plan. Hawaii still looks perfect from the outside, with the beaches, the full hotels, and the sunset doing exactly what the postcard promised. But for the people serving that paradise, a $950,000 median home price isn't a postcard. Number 8. New Mexico, New Mexico is often sold through desert views, Santa Fe art galleries, red rocks, green chile, and the kind of quiet landscape that makes tourists feel peaceful after buying a very expensive candle. But in Albuquerque, Gallup, Las Cruces, Mountain Air, and smaller towns across the state, many families are dealing with something much less peaceful. Drugs, overdose deaths, poverty, crime, and safety problems that don't disappear when the tourism ad ends. A 2026 Wallet Hub study cited by media ranked New Mexico number 1 in the country for drug problems. New Mexico also had 775 overdose deaths in 2024, or about 36.4 deaths per 100,000 residents. USA Facts said it was the state's 5th highest overdose death rate since data began in 1999. That number means 775 families got the phone call nobody wants. It means parents burying children, grandparents raising grandchildren, teachers watching students come to school carrying problems from home, and first responders getting called again and again to the same neighborhoods. Then add child poverty. Census data showed New Mexico had one of the highest child poverty rates in the country in 2023 at 25.3%. US Facts put child poverty at 21.8% in 2024, which means more than 1 in 5 children in the state were still living in poverty. When overdose deaths, child poverty, and weak job options hit the same towns, the damage spreads fast. Emergency rooms get busier, courtrooms fill up, police departments get strained, and families have a harder time keeping a job, paying rent, staying sober, and staying together. The Mountain Air case shows how hard this can hit a small town. AP reported that 3 people died in a suspected overdose incident in Mountain Air, a town of fewer than 1,000 people, and first responders had to be cleaned off after exposure to an unknown substance. For a parent in Albuquerque or Gallup, the fear is practical. It's whether their teenager knows someone using fentanyl, whether the neighborhood feels safe after dark, whether calling for help brings help fast enough, and whether the best advice they can give their child is to leave. New Mexico is on this list because the crisis has names, addresses, and death certificates. 775 overdose deaths in 2024, more than 1 in 5 children in poverty, and small towns where addiction can spill into homes, ambulances, and fire departments. Number 7. Kansas has wheat fields, long roads, high school football, church parking lots, and neighbors who know exactly whose truck is parked where. The World Cup will bring attention to Kansas City, but the stadium is on the Missouri side, so Kansas isn't directly hosting the match the way some people may assume. While one metro area gets ready for global visitors, rural Kansas is worried about something much more basic: whether local hospitals can keep their doors open. Chartis identified 432 rural hospitals across the United States as at risk of closing in 2025, and Kansas had 46 of them. The National Rural Health Association said 47% of rural hospitals in Kansas were at risk of closing, while 87% were losing money just trying to stay open. That means almost 9 out of 10 rural hospitals in Kansas are already spending more than they bring in, and the problem isn't only emergency care. NARA also said 60 of Kansas's 85 rural counties had shortages of regular doctors, and 37 of 85 had shortages of dental care. So this hits checkups, diabetes care, blood pressure visits, tooth pain, prenatal care, and the regular appointments that keep small health problems from turning into serious ones. Kansas is not dealing with this alone. Chartis said that in the previous year, 18 rural hospitals either closed or stopped offering overnight patient care, bringing the total since 2010 to 182. Rural hospitals have already been disappearing across the country. In rural Kansas, a hospital is often one of the biggest employers in town. It supports nurses, lab workers, ambulance crews, cleaning staff, food service workers, and local families who depend on those paychecks. If it closes, the town loses medical care and jobs at the same time. A pregnant woman near Dodge City, Garden City, Hayes, or a smaller county may have to drive farther to give birth. An older patient with diabetes may skip appointments because the drive is too long or the service is no longer nearby. It has this problem because 46 rural hospitals are at risk, 87% are losing money, and most rural counties already don't have enough basic care. Number 6. Texas is getting ready for the World Cup through Dallas and Houston. A visitor landing in Dallas or Houston will see construction, traffic, packed restaurants, new neighborhoods, and a state that still looks like it's growing on purpose. But outside the big city version of Texas, rural healthcare is in serious trouble. Chartis identified 47 rural hospitals in Texas as at risk of closing in 2025, the highest number in the country. Census data put Texas's uninsured rate at 16.724, also the highest in the nation. Cover Texas Now, citing census data, said about 5.1 million Texans had no health insurance in 2024. Among working-age adults, the uninsured rate reached 21.6%. In plain English, more than 1 in 5 working-age adults in Texas didn't have health insurance. So when someone in rural West Texas, the Panhandle, South Texas, or a county far outside Dallas and Houston gets sick, the problem may not only be the drive to the hospital. It may also be the bill waiting at the end of that drive. South Texas makes that even clearer. Reporting in 2025 showed McAllen with an uninsured rate around 29.7% and Laredo around 28.4%. That's roughly 3 in 10 residents without health insurance in those places. Reuters has reported that rural hospitals often depend heavily on Medicare and Medicaid, while rural communities tend to have more older, poorer, and sicker patients. Put simply, many rural hospitals are treating people who need more care, but a lot of those patients either have government insurance or no insurance at all. That makes it harder for the hospital to pay nurses, keep equipment working, and keep the doors open. Then summer shows up and makes everything worse. Outdoor workers, roofers, delivery drivers, farm workers, older residents, and people without reliable air conditioning face real danger in Texas heat. The power grid has also been a concern during extreme weather, which matters when electricity becomes part of staying alive. So the World Cup version of Texas will look strong. The rural version may look very different. 47 at-risk hospitals, 5.1 million uninsured people, nearly 3 in 10 residents uninsured in places like McAllen and Laredo, and families waiting longer before getting care because they're afraid of the price. Number 5. Louisiana, New Orleans, the Mississippi River, the Gulf Coast, bayous, fishing towns, shrimp boats, ports, Cajun communities, and neighborhoods built close to land that has always needed protection. But in Louisiana, water is also taking things away. The Louisiana Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority says the state has lost nearly 2,000 square miles of land since the 1930s. In one of the state's 2023 planning estimates, Louisiana could lose up to 3,000 more square miles over the next 50 years. That's not just a line in a climate report. That's roads, wetlands, fishing areas, and storm protection disappearing from the map. Groups working to rebuild Louisiana's coast have warned that without action, Louisiana could face more than $150 billion in flood damages over 50 years. They also note that Louisiana has about 40% of the wetlands in the United States, but accounts for about 90% of coastal wetland loss in the lower 48 states. Put simply, Louisiana has a huge share of America's coastal wetlands, but it's also losing them faster than almost anywhere else. Then came another hit. Louisiana canceled the $3 billion Mid-Barataria Sediment Diversion Project. AP reported that the project had been expected to restore more than 20 square miles of land over 50 years. Scientists and environmental groups criticized the cancellation because in coastal Louisiana, rebuilding land isn't a nice extra. AP has reported on the Pointe-au-Chien Indian tribe fighting erosion, saltwater getting into the land and water, land loss, and storms. Homes have to be raised, and oyster shell reefs are being used to slow erosion. For a homeowner near the coast, the problem shows up in normal places. The insurance bill, the flood map, the repair estimate after a storm, and the hard conversation about whether a family house is still worth protecting if the bills keep rising. Reporting on hurricane and named storm deductibles estimated Louisiana homeowners could face around $4,528 more per year in one model. That's before repairs, evacuation costs, lost wages, or rebuilding. Poorer families have fewer exits because leaving costs money too. Louisiana has already lost nearly 2,000 square miles of land, could lose 3,000 more, faces possible flood damages over $150 billion, and canceled a $3 billion project that was supposed to help slow the damage. Number 4. Florida. If America wants the world to see beaches, nightlife, pulp trees, luxury hotels, and international crowds, Miami knows exactly how to stand in front of a camera. For decades, Florida sold Americans a very simple retirement dream. Move south, skip the state income tax, enjoy the warm weather, live near the beach, and never shovel snow again. That dream still exists, but the bill has gotten a lot uglier. In one Florida insurance estimate, a homeowner's yearly bill jumped from $2,557 to $7,136 after adding a 2% hurricane deductible. That's $4,579 more per year before groceries, medical bills, property taxes, HOA fees, or condo repairs even show up. For a retiree in a Miami area condo, Fort Myers, Naples, Tampa Bay, or along the Atlantic coast, $4,579 isn't just a price increase. That can mean months of groceries, car payments, medicine, or the difference between living comfortably and cutting back. And this isn't just one strange example. Across the country, homeowners insurance went up 24% from 2021 to 2024, about twice as fast as everyday prices. Florida gets hit especially hard because hurricanes, coastal homes, roof claims, lawsuits, and insurance companies leaving the market all end up in the same place, the homeowner's mailbox. Miami-Dade condo owners had average insurance bills around $2,300 near the end of one study period, and condo insurance there rose nearly 40%. Windstorm insurance also rose by double digits. So a condo owner may open one bill and see regular insurance going up, then another bill for wind coverage, then higher HOA fees, then repair costs stacked on top. Florida HB 393 took effect on June 23, 2025, tied to the MySafe Florida Condominium Pilot Program. After the 2021 Surfside condo collapse, older buildings faced more pressure around inspections, repairs, safety checks, and money set aside for future fixes. And yes, safety matters. But even necessary repairs can still crush a retiree's budget when the bill lands all at once. In June 2025, regulators allowed 3 insurers to take up to 135,540 policies from Citizens. In Tampa Bay, Citizens policies fell by nearly 90,000 by May 2025, from 299,882 to 211,964, as the state tried to move homeowners back to private insurance companies. Miami may look great for World Cup visitors, but after the fans leave, Florida homeowners still have to open the insurance bill. And these days, that envelope can hit harder than the storm warning. Number 3. Arizona. In 2025, Arizona lost 512,000 acre-feet of Colorado River water under the Tier 1 shortage. The Central Arizona Project said that was about 30% of CAP's normal supply, 18% of Arizona's Colorado River supply, and nearly 8% of all the water used in the state. AP reported that Arizona would lose 18% of its Colorado River water again in 2026. Nevada was set to lose 7%, Mexico 5%, and California avoided cuts because it has older water rights. So Arizona is not dealing with one bad year, it is getting cut again from the river that helps keep much of the state running. An acre-foot can serve roughly 2 to 3 households for a year, depending on water use. So 512,000 acre-feet is roughly enough water for about 1 million to 1.5 million households for a year. Now look at the places still growing: Phoenix, Buckeye, Queen Creek, Goodyear, Surprise, and other fast-growing parts of Maricopa County. The homes keep coming, the pools keep selling, and the golf courses keep looking green. For any home buyer, the question is simple: if the river cuts keep coming, where does all the water come from? The next round of Colorado River talks is already looking tougher. Reporting on future river plans has described possible cuts of up to 40% in water deliveries from the river for Arizona, California, and Nevada. Those cuts could reach 3 million acre-feet a year, enough water for roughly 6 million to 9 million homes annually, depending on household use. Heat makes the problem harder. Phoenix summers can turn air conditioning from comfort into survival. Older residents, roofers, delivery drivers, landscapers, construction workers, and families with high electric bills feel that first. And the river is not the only problem. In parts of Arizona, groundwater has been pumped faster than nature can replace it. That means some communities are using water that built up underground over many years, while new growth keeps adding more demand. A family buying a new house outside Phoenix may see a bright kitchen, a clean street, a nice pool, and a sales office with cold bottled water. What they may not see is the 512,000 acre-feet cut in 2025, the 18% Colorado River cut again in 2026, or the long fight over who gets water when there is less to go around. Arizona looks like another subdivision opening in the desert. Number 2, New York, New York is getting ready for World Cup attention with the final scheduled at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. The cameras will show the stadium, the skyline, the bridges, the crowds, and the version of New York that always knows how to look expensive. New York has Wall Street, luxury real estate, global investors, and Manhattan apartments that sell for numbers most Americans have to read twice. Then look at where tens of thousands of families are sleeping. In January 2026, Coalition for the Homeless reported that an average of 98,671 people slept in New York City shelters each night. 67% were members of homeless families. That included 32,050 children. The Institute for Children, Poverty and Homelessness reported that in 2025, an average of 18,057 families with children lived in DHAS shelters each night. Citizens Committee for Children has said around 40,000 children sleep in New York City homeless shelters on a given night. Those numbers mean thousands of children are trying to get through school without a stable bedroom to come home to. Rent is where the pressure hits the family budget. Around 30% of New York City renter households spend at least half of their income on rent. There were 111,830 eviction filings in 2024. The NYC Comptroller reported that even among households earning $60,000 to $80,000, nearly 40% were still spending too much of their income on rent. Then look at Manhattan. In May 2025, Manhattan median rent hit a record $4,571, the middle's rent. Not some gold-plated penthouse with a private elevator and a doorman who silently judges your shoes. The city also has more people needing shelter after new migrant arrivals, which added pressure to a system that was already crowded. Working-class families get pushed farther out. During the World Cup, the New York region will look polished because global events are very good at cleaning the camera angle. But after the final, the shelter count will still be there. Nearly 100,000 people in shelters each night. More than 32,000 children, more than 18,000 families with children in DHS shelters on an average night in 2025, and more than 111,000 eviction filings in 1 year. New York is number 2 because the wealth is obvious, and so is the failure to house families living right beside it. Number 1, California, California belongs at number 1 because it puts almost every problem in this video into one state. The world will see stadiums, beaches, tech wealth, Hollywood images, electric cars, and a version of America that looks like the future got better weather. Apple, Google, Meta, and other companies sit in or near one of the richest tech corridors on Earth, from Silicon Valley to the Bay Area. Then drive under a freeway in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, or San Jose and look at the tents, RVs, cars people sleep in, and encampments sitting not far from some of the richest companies in human history. CalMatters, using HUD data, reported that nearly 1/4 of all homeless Americans live in California. The state also has 28% of homeless veterans and 44% of chronically homeless Americans. About 2/3 of homeless Californians sleep outdoors, the highest rate in the country. Then look at buying a home. In the first quarter of 2026, only about 46% of California households could qualify for even a bottom-tier home mortgage. In 2019, it was about 57%. So even the cheaper end of the housing market has moved out of reach for more than half the state. NAR reported that a household making $75,000 a year could afford only 21.2% of listings in March 2025. Before the pandemic, that same household could afford close to 49% of listings. That $75,000 group includes a lot of people America says it needs: teachers, nurses, skilled trades workers, and public employees. The city numbers are even rougher. In July 2025, only about 3% of Los Angeles listings were affordable to a median income household. San Francisco was around 14%. San Jose was around 10%, with only about 330 listings affordable to a median income household. In San Diego, only 1.6% of homes were affordable to median earners, and a buyer needed around $221,900 a year to buy a typical home. A teacher in Los Angeles can work in the city and still struggle to live near the school. A nurse in the Bay Area can serve patients in one of the wealthiest regions on Earth and still watch rent eat the paycheck. A restaurant worker in San Francisco can keep the city running while commuting from far away because living nearby is not realistic. Then other problems stack on top. Wildfires, insurance companies leaving or raising prices, drought, high gas prices, childcare costs, long commutes, and middle-class families leaving for Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Idaho, and Tennessee. From Arizona's water cuts to New York's shelter crisis to California's impossible housing math, the pattern is pretty clear. America can look incredibly rich on camera, while ordinary people are quietly getting priced out, pushed out, or left behind. And during big global events, the stadiums will look great, the skyline will look perfect, and the commercials will do their job. But after the cameras leave, the bills stay. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, which state do you think should have been number 1?